On March 23, 1984, Patrick D. Bolin was introduced as the new majority owner of the Denver Broncos. Having purchased the club from Edgar F. Kaiser Jr., Mr. Bolin acquired a team that has enjoyed 8 winning campaigns in the past 11 seasons. And in 1984, Mr. Bolin is looking to maintain this tradition, a tradition that was continued on December 24, 1983, when the Broncos traveled to Seattle for the AFC Wild Card playoffs. The 1983 Broncos were a talented blend of new faces and veteran stars. A group of 49 inspired players who became a team together. Do it! Do it! Do it! After 2 wins in 3 tries against the Seahawks in 1983, this 4th matchup would be the toughest of all.
To the left at the 45, and the 40 breaks into the open. Berg takes the ball back, sets up at the 25, throwing, and it'll be a touchdown.
Jesse Miles' touchdown was Denver's only bright spot of the day as Seattle played Scrooge this Christmas Eve by not allowing Denver another point, while the Broncos were more than generous with their share of gifts. Seattle's 24 unanswered points sent the Broncos home for the holidays. And although it was a disappointing loss, it wasn't a lost cause, as the Broncos' return to the playoffs laid the foundation for continued success in the future. Acclaimed as 1983's brightest new star, rookie John Elway handled the pressure like a seasoned pro.
As far as the pressure that other people put on me and the press has put on me so far, I try not to let that bother me. I try to let it go in one ear and right out the other. There's no sense me trying to live up to other people's expectations and try to do things that are really out of my reach. I'm just going to go out and do what I do best and relax and enjoy the game. And when I'm doing that is usually when I play my best.
Elway's best are his great technical knowledge, scrambling ability, and a rocket-launching right arm. While at Stanford University, Elway set 5 all-time NCAA passing records. Then he entered pro football as the most publicized and promising quarterback since Joe Namath. John understood the celebrity game. What he still had to learn was the Broncos system.
Let's go I right, 74, I right Ray, 74 flare, 16 waggle left, hot right, wing turn in on 2. On 2. Ready?
In preseason, this quiet, unassuming former college football hero won the starting job. But the curtain that rose on his regular season debut was made of steel. Elway became the first rookie ever to start a season opener for the Broncos. But after only a brief appearance, he had to bow out with a bruised elbow. But the Steelers weren't the only ones to show some muscle. Plays like defensive end Rulon Jones, number 75, sidestepping his way past the Steelers' front line, the Broncos were able to register 3 sacks. All-Pro Bob Swenson, number 51, and cornerback Mike Harden, number 31, contributed to the cause, as the Broncos forced 7 turnovers and held the Steelers to 10 points. With Elway unable to return, 7-year veteran Steve DeBerg came off the bench to guide the Broncos. Late in the game, DeBerg found tight end Jim Wright, number 87, for a key first down. And using a small amplifier to call out signals because of a voice problem, DeBerg executed a perfect fake to number 34, Nathan Poole. And then found tight end Ron Egloff, number 85, all alone for the winning score. For John Elway, the baptism of fire in Pittsburgh was nothing compared to the hazing that awaited him in Baltimore.
Good afternoon from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Bob Martin and Sandy Clough. It's 100 degrees here right now, but that's nothing compared to the temperature in the stands where 50,000 fans have come to boo John Elway.
With his elbows still sore from the pounding in Pittsburgh, Elway faced the Colts, who weren't about to let him mend.
He said they never came to Baltimore because we're going to give them the blues.
For Elway, it was deja vu as injuries again relegated him to the sideline, where he watched Steve DeBerg rally the Broncos in the fourth quarter. Wide receiver Steve Watson's touchdown tied the game at 10. Then DeBerg's 54-yard bomb to Watson put the ball at the Colts' 4-yard line with seconds to play.
Second and goal, Broncos. 2.5 yards away. 34 seconds to go. Tied at 10. DeBerg rolling to the right, looking, staying on his feet, cutting, scoring!
After DeBerg's heroics, these hard-working road warriors were headed back to Denver, a team together.
We didn't look at it as them against John. We looked at it as us against, the Baltimore Colts, and we just wanted to hang in there and play a good game and play and hang together tough as a team. I think we did that, and we proved that, if anything, that if you just hang in there and keep yourself up, keep faith in the rest of the guys, eventually something will happen.
What happened the following week was the Broncos' home opener, and over 70,000 fans, everyone who was anyone, piled into Mile High Stadium to welcome home the 2-0 Broncos and rookie Elway. In the coming months, Bronco fans had to pay a price for the greening of John Elway. They had to learn how to live in a land of nearlys, almosts, and just abouts. Against Philadelphia, Elway demonstrated leadership, and despite a Rocky Mountain headache, he provided the Broncos with the lead with his first pro touchdown pass. But with only seconds remaining, a Philadelphia field goal decided the contest. 1983 was more than a tale of two quarterbacks. It was also a story about a defense that was fire and smoke. Got you now, and get you later. Number 57, Tom Jackson, compiled 124 tackles from his weak side linebacking position and was always in pursuit of the football. As the Broncos' leading sacker in 1983, Jackson was named Denver's most inspirational player for the third year in a row. An 11-year veteran, Jackson's strength is in the fury of his attack. And against the eventual world champion Raiders, Jackson was a one-man wrecking machine. Eleven-year veteran defensive end Barney Chavis took advantage of the turnovers forced by Jackson to score the first touchdown of his career. This same aggressiveness was displayed by backup linebacker Ken Woodard, number 52, along with veteran Steve Busick, number 58, and Jim Ryan, number 50. Rookie Carl Mecklenburg, number 77, left a lasting impression, while defensive end Bryson Manor, number 66, and nose tackle Reuben Carter, number 68, combined for 154 tackles and 7.5 sacks. In 1983, added pass rushing strength was also supplied by dependable rookies Walt Boyer and Rich Stakowski, while defensive back Roger Jackson cut down 56 ball carriers, and safety Dennis Smith collected 5 sacks and picked off 4 passes. Four-year defensive back Mike Harden produced 4 thefts, while safety Steve Foley, number 43, and cornerback Steve Wilson, number 45, combined to steal 10 more. But 1983's biggest thief was All-Pro cornerback and big play man Lewis Wright, number 20. Wright posted 113 tackles and a career-high 6 interceptions while earning his 4th Pro Bowl selection. Linebacker Randy Gradishar, number 53, appeared in his 7th Pro Bowl in 1983, the most ever by a Bronco. Gradishar registered 224 tackles to lead the Broncos in that department for the 9th consecutive season. For the Broncos' defensive leader, quality performance is the rule rather than the exception. And after a stellar 10-year career, Randy bid farewell to football.
I really considered making that decision after the evaluation from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint, and decided making this my last year. But it's just it's a competitiveness, and the hardest thing is to know when you can actually physically stop competing at a top level. And I would feel I would be cheating my teammates and my team if I was just I feel I could probably play for a couple more years, but I don't think I could play at the same top quality that I'm able to play at now.
Among linebackers, Gradishar was a rarity. He never used any form of vocal intimidation. He didn't need to. Gradishar's 2,044 career tackles speaks volumes. No one else is even close to that figure. Having never missed a game because of injury, Randy's role was both major and magical. He leaves behind the standard by which all players can be measured. In 1983, the Broncos earned their 4th playoff berth despite an epidemic of injuries that was the Broncos' worst in the past 15 years. This plague kept 15 starters out of action at one time or another and forced Dan Reeves to shuffle the deck and come up with a new hand each week. Unfortunately, when they hosted the Raiders in Week 4, the Broncos' hand totaled only 7 points. Rookie Zach Thomas' 70-yard punt return was the Broncos' lone bright spot of the day. Despite successful execution in Chicago, they still fell to injury and defeat. Denver's commitment to the future and rookie John Elway was replaced by a greater concern for the present. Against Houston in Week 6, Coach Reeves announced that Steve DeBerg would be the Broncos' new starting quarterback. Under the leadership of DeBerg, the Broncos snapped their 3-game losing streak and posted their 3rd road win of the season, 26-14. With Keith Euchre, Jerry Baker, and Sean Hollingsworth providing some key blocks, running back Sammy Winder cut loose for 52 yards. The longest Bronco run from scrimmage since 1977. And he finished the day with 165 yards rushing. DeBerg's 2nd touchdown pass of the day was hauled in by Steve Watson. The Broncos headed to Denver to celebrate their 97th straight home sellout. Against Cincinnati, safety Dennis Smith made sure the Bengals were headed in the right direction. DeBerg hit veteran Riley Odoms for a key first down, while Billy Bryan, Keith Bishop, Dave Studdard, Paul Howard, and Ken Lanier, number 76, provided the crushing blocks that broke Dave Preston for big gains. DeBerg's 7-yard scoring toss to running back Rick Parris gave the Broncos their first home victory of 1983, 24-17. After 7 weeks, the Broncos had finally attained a togetherness that earned them their third straight victory. The defense pressured the Chargers into making mistakes and limited San Diego's high-flying offense to a mere 6 points. Wide receiver Steve Watson was as brilliant as ever. But it was the stellar performance of Dave Preston that kept the Broncos in the game, and he scored the winning touchdown in the final minute of play. The following week, Denver staked its claim to a share of first place in the AFC West with a 27-14 victory over the Chiefs. DeBerg's 350-yard passing performance was a new personal high, and wide receiver Rick Upchurch also rolled up some impressive numbers. Upchurch gained 143 yards and set up Nathan Poole's second touchdown of the day, which proved to be the game-winning score. But after leaving the friendly warmth of home, the Broncos were cooled down in Seattle. The Broncos suffered their fourth loss, but the biggest loss was Steve DeBerg, who went down with a separated shoulder. Now the future belonged to John Elway. It was time for the rookie to stop memorizing the offense and start learning. Elway had tried to master the Broncos' complicated system, but what had come so naturally in college had been a puzzling process in the pros. Now Elway had to clear his head of past mistakes and take control of his destiny. Against the Raiders, Elway put on a show-stopping performance. The confident quarterback sparked a Bronco rally, then personally provided his team with a lead. Elway let go with a spike heard all the way to Denver, and with it he vented 10 weeks of frustration. And although the Broncos lost on a last-second Raider field goal, John Elway had gained respect, and with it came a renewed sense of confidence. Returning home, everyone knew that a young rookie quarterback would be the starter. What they didn't know was that his name would be Gary Kubiak. Kubiak came in for the flu-ridden Elway and played the game of his life. Regardless of who was at quarterback, Steve Watson was able to adjust throughout the season, and he put on another sterling performance against Seattle. Tailback Gerald Wilhite returned from an injury to break the game open with a 24-yard touchdown. Keith Bishop's quick snaps enabled punter Luke Prestridge to drive his kicks high and deep. Special team MVP Ken Woodard led attackers Rob Lytle, Darren Como, Rick Dennison, Wilbert Myers, Myron Dupree, John Sawyer, Dean Barnett, and the rest of the hard-hitting special teamers on search and destroy missions. But clearly the day belonged to Gary Kubiak. The rookie's third-quarter touchdown gave the Broncos a lead they never relinquished, and Denver outscored the Seahawks 38-27. After a loss in San Diego, Elway regained his composure at home and turned in the kind of game that Denver had been waiting for. On this Sunday, rookie Clint Sampson was on the receiving end of 2 Elway bombs. Elway and Sampson created a Rocky Mountain storm, and it was big enough to snowball the Broncos back into the NFL playoff picture.
Elway's in some trouble, runs, gets away from a tackle, and is throwing it for the end zone, and Sampson's open.
Place kicker Rich Karlis added fury to the storm with a career-long 50-yarder. The 27-6 thrashing of the Browns was Elway's breakthrough game. The young quarterback had come of age and silenced his critics. The Broncos recorded their 14th straight sellout season in 1983. These dedicated fans filled Mile High Stadium in the final season home game for the much-anticipated rematch with the Colts. Steve Watson again surpassed the 1,000-yard mark in receiving, but it was the Colts who lit up the scoreboard. In the fourth quarter, this team together took over and produced one of the greatest come-from-behind victories in Bronco history.
Left, split left!
Come on, D, let's make a play, let's go!
Behind the blocking strength of Brian Studdard, Lanier, rookie Mark Cooper, and the retiring Tom Glassick, Elway orchestrated a rousing comeback.
And Elway with some protection, throwing it to the end zone for Sampson. He's got the ball, touchdown! And here comes the blitz. Elway throws into the right flat to Miles. 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Gussie Miles!
Elway enjoyed his best day as a pro, passing for 345 yards. But his biggest pass of the day and of his young career came with only seconds to play.
Wilhite at the 10, Wilhite at the 5, Wilhite to the goal. Touchdown! 4th and 2, and the Broncos got the touchdown to go ahead, 20-19. There's the back leg of Darrell Wilhite, who could not have been more open as he caught the ball at the 10 and ran it in.
Well, an unbelievable finish.
As for the future, it holds even greater expectations for the Broncos. But one thing is certain. Whatever the Broncos achieve, it will be as a result of the bond they formed in 1983 as a team together.